Hey y'all, it's John Ray, and today I'm doing a mystical teaching on a question that I constantly run into as I'm going through the mystical Bible, and that is, what is God's promise? We hear this phrase all the time in Scripture. God will fulfill his promise. He is faithful to what he has promised. The promise is coming. But most people hear that and they think it's about something in the future, something that's going to happen someday. Someday God will reward me. Someday, if I do enough, believe enough, wait long enough, I'll get the blessing. But from a mystical lens, God's promise isn't something outside of you. It's something that's coded into your very being, into the fabric of reality. It's not a deal. It is a design. It's how the quantum universe works. And today we're going to decode it and go through the scripture that backs this up. So the core idea is that mystically, God has made a promise to us. And the promise is that whatever you assume with feeling in union with love must be reflected back to you, because I am, awareness itself, is the mirror of reality. And so if you have a desire for something, the energy to fulfill that desire is baked into the desire itself. And God's promise is the law of assumption in divine form. It's the guarantee that you are made in the image of I am, which means that your awareness connects into God's awareness. And when you dwell in a state of consciousness of fulfilled desire, living from the end, living from the place that it's already happened, that state of consciousness must outpicture itself as reality itself. And Neville Goddard would say, your world is yourself pushed out. So the promise isn't God dangling some carrot in the sky. The promise is this: the moment you assume something as true of yourself, the moment that you claim something as your identity and you live from that identity, your reality is going to start rearranging itself to reflect who you have claimed yourself to be. And God's role in all of that is to faithfully mirror back to you who you are, because reality is set up as a feedback loop that helps you understand the choices that you're making and who you are currently claiming as your identity. And so if you're claiming something small or weak or insignificant, reality is going to reflect that back to you. And that's not punishment. It's not a threat from God. So let's talk about how this promise shows up in the Bible. First, Abraham is promised descendants, but the real promise is identity transformation. He goes from Abram, which means exalted father, to Abraham, which means father of nations. And so the promise is, become the one who already has the outcome that you're looking for. Then Joseph is promised rulership in a dream. But the real promise is inner conviction through betrayal, abandonment, and power. He doesn't just dream about the future. He becomes the future even when he's in the bottom of a well. And then, of course, Jesus embodies the promise, the Word made flesh, the I am clothed in form. And he walks around saying things like, whatever you ask in prayer, believe that you have received it and it will be yours. That's the mystical promise in a single line. Believe you already have it, and the world will mirror it back to you. So let's bring this home. You may not hear God's voice from a burning bush, but you've likely had moments where a desire rises in you so clearly that it almost feels like it was whispered into your heart. And that's the promise. The energy to fulfill your desire is baked inside the desire itself. Neville said desire is the awareness of something you already have. So when you feel desire, not craving or grasping or desperation, but a pure soul level yes. That's not God teasing you. That's not God torturing you because you don't have something yet. That's God telling you what's already yours in another state of consciousness if you will claim it. And your job isn't to make that thing happen, to go out and hustle harder to bring that thing to life. Your job is to remain in the assumption that it's already flowing to you, that the desire itself shows you that is territory that has been given. And if you remain in the assumption of that territory being yours for long enough, it will begin to unfold in reality. And that's what most of us struggle with. And so many people say, well, but I've been assuming and praying and having faith and nothing's really happening. Well, here's why that is. We think that assumption is a moment, like we do an affirmation and then magic is supposed to happen. But assumption and faith itself is really a dwelling place. It's a state of consciousness that we live in constantly. It's not some flash of belief. It's a sustained inner agreement that we have with awareness itself. And it takes courage to hold it because life is 100% going to test you. I used to call this the bump, where when you claim a larger identity for yourself, reality is going to bump all the unknowns and uncertainties in your nervous system and say, are you sure that you want that? Because look at your reality right now, and you have to be able to rise above your observational senses and recognize that you're calling in something that doesn't yet exist in physical reality, but already exists in consciousness. And when that thing that you're claiming is delayed from you being able to observe it, it's going to shake your faith, and your own past patterns are going to try to pull you back and keep you small. But the truth is, the promise is never late. It's always right on time. And once you become the version of yourself that can hold it, it falls right into place. Almost always the frustration that you're feeling is designed to move you and bend you and help you integrate things that will give you the wisdom so that you can actually be the type of person that can have and hold the desire instead of being given it and fumbling it. And mystics like Neville might say your assumptions harden into fact. And when you persist long enough to become natural in that feeling of the wish fulfilled, of you already having it, of that state of it is done, well, when that happens, you don't have to force results, because whatever needs to happen, whatever you need to do is going to become an urge or an impulse inside of you that's so strong that you can't not take that action. And you will recognize the choices that are ready for you to make. You will recognize what's meant for you, because those choices will feel at home because they're aligned with the energy of your desire. So let's anchor all this in with a prayer practice, and we'll call this Align with the Promise. So take a deep breath, close your eyes, and ask yourself, what desire has been calling me? What assumption have I abandoned because it took too long? And what would it feel like if that desire were already fulfilled, if it was already done? Now breathe into that feeling of it is done. See yourself not waiting for something to happen, but living from that desire already actualized. You don't have to earn it. You don't have to prove that you're worthy. There's nothing that you have to do. You'll be inspired to do the right things in the right timing. Your job is just to say, the desire is the echo of God's promise. I assume it. I embody it. I walk in it. And then you just feel that shift. You feel the trust of living in the place of, it's already done. And from that place of it is done, you are now the one who has that desire. You've already called in the alternate reality that eventually manifests as physical presence, physical observance itself. So to remain in this assumption, to keep that faith, what it looks like is that you have to constantly be repositioning yourself to live from the end. You're not striving towards it. You're not trying to get somewhere. You're treating every delay as integration, as energy that needs to be transmuted. You become a spiritual alchemist where temporary setbacks are not rejection. Rather, it's an opportunity for you to trust deeper that your I am, God, awareness itself, the larger consciousness system, is never mocking you. just mirroring to you the big feelings that you need to feel, integrate, and transmute. Because I am, awareness itself, is the promise. And I am will never return void. It always reaps rewards when you live in the assumption long enough. So let me know what the promise means to you down in the comments. To get an email when the next video is released or to request a Bible verse interpretation, go to BibleMystic.com. And if you've ever had a desire that felt holy but scary, beautiful but far away, let this be your reminder. The desire is not a maybe, it's a map. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell us about the promise that's already yours that you're reclaiming, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye, y'all.